boys and girls, the book that we've been reading, actually, we just finished it. It was called Out of My Mind, right? Do we all like that book?
Yeah.
We just finished it. Can somebody kind of summarize in just a couple of words what the book was about? Raise your hand. Kenji, tell me what the book was about.
Melody Brooks is a 10-year-old girl that has a disability, and she's going to a regular school.
Okay.
And she's very smart and made it onto the quiz team.
Right.
And then she's left behind because of how they think she'll look on TV.
Right. Does anybody remember what that disability was called? Mia?
Cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy. And what does that disability cause? What happens to her? What does that happen to her? Layla?
Like it's kind of like your muscles get all tense and like it's very hard to like move like certain parts of your body.
Mm-hmm. Is she able to speak?
No.
No, she's not able to speak. So how does she communicate? Mia?
With the machine called the Meditalk.
With a machine that's called a Meditalker. So she's not able to communicate, but so she communicates through a machine, right? She communicates through a machine. Okay. So our lesson objectives today, because every lesson that we have, it has objectives. Okay, and we always have an essential question. Okay, somebody tell me what figurative language is. What's figurative language? And there's lots of different types of idioms. Bella?
Simile, metaphor, illusion, personification.
So I think we got them all. Similes, metaphors, onomatopoeia, alliteration, idiom, puns, illusions. So we got all of them. So today, let's talk idioms. Let's talk idioms. Somebody remind me what an idiom is. Mia?
An idiom is like it's raining cats and dogs.
Like raining cats and dogs. Anybody else got an idiom that they may know? Anybody else? Zach?
Fish out of water.
A fish out of water. Somebody else. Haven? I have a frog in my throat. Who was the king of idioms? We studied the king of idioms last year. Does anybody remember? If you were in my class, we did a whole unit. Anybody remember? He wore glasses.
Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin. He was the king of idioms. But the actual definition of an idiom is it's a word or phrase that means something that's totally different than the literal meaning. Totally different. And somebody said up here that a fish out of water. And that kind of leads us right into the book that we've been reading, Out of My Mind, because that's what the cover of the book is a fish hopping out of water. So it says a fish out of water. Okay. Why do you think that the author chose the picture, this particular picture, for the cover of the book? Why do you think the author chose this picture? Layla?
To symbolize Melody's experience throughout the book.
Okay, so give me more. Tell me more.
Like since she just started at a new school, she's kind of like the fish out of water. And then like when the people at her quiz team kind of portrayed her, she was like again the fish out of water at her school. So like it's kind of symbolizing her journey through the book.
Okay, have you ever felt like a fish out of water?
Yeah.
Tell me an example.
I guess a couple years ago when I first came to the school.
Uh-huh. Like as a new student?
Yeah.
Brand new and never been here anymore? Anybody else? Ever felt like a fish out of water? How about you,
When
Ken?
I joined my new basketball league.
So I think you guys got it. Okay, so here's another idiom. Coming full circle. So that's kind of where this lesson is kind of leading to, and I want to read a couple things to you. I want to read you the first chapter of the book again, and then the last chapter. And they're both really short, so I want you to listen, okay? So this is chapter 1, and it starts out with words. I'm surrounded by thousands of words, maybe millions. Cathedral, by the time I was 2, all my memories had words, and all of my words had meanings, but only in my head. I have never spoken one single word, and I'm almost 11 years old. So that's where I got that from, that the book came full circle. The book started with that same chapter and ended with that same chapter with words. Okay, so this is going to be your assignment. Okay. Okay. The first thing that you're going to do is that as an individual, you're going to write a summary about Out of My Mind. And a summary is just a synopsis about the book, just giving an overview of the book. And typically summaries of books you find on the back cover of a book. And it kind of tells somebody that wants to read the book just an overview of the book, just the highlights of the book, but the best parts of the book. Okay, you don't want to tell everything. You just want to give the highlights. And then you're going to design a book jacket. Do you know what a book jacket is?
The front cover.
Yeah, it's typically the front cover and the back cover. And I had this book over here in my library. And this is what a book jacket is. It's what typically protects the book. This one I actually taped in. But the nicer books typically have a book jacket. And it has like a nice picture on it. And then it has the summary on the back. And then typically on the inside, sometimes the summary goes a little bit long. And then the back part usually has a little biography about the author. And I love to do book jackets because what I like to see is the kiddos show off their artwork. Because I have a lot of kids that like to be artists. And last year, one of my favorite books that we did was the Adventures of Charlotte Doyle. And so the kiddos did some artwork for Charlotte Doyle. And this was their book jacket. And so they did the artwork on the front. On the inside, they did a little synopsis of Avi, who was the author, and some of them carried over to the back and had their summaries on, or they put their summaries on the back. So you guys are going to do the same thing, but for Out of My Mind. The only thing that I want you to do is that I want you to make it look different than the original. Obviously, this is what Sharon Draper chose because Melody was a fish out of water, but I want you to do something different. And so you're going to do the summary on your own. You're going to do the book jacket on your own. So you're going to do some writing, and then you're going to do the book jacket. But then as a team, in your class craft teams, you're going to develop a book trailer. And I have an example of one for you. And so, and this is actually one that another student did.
Look at me. I'm Melody Brooks. I am going up my mind. No, I'm not crazy. Although some have called me the R word. Ridiculous. I'm probably the smartest kid in this school. Really? Millions of words?
So as a team, you're going to do that together. And you can create a 30-second to 1-minute book trailer. You can choose to use iMovie, Adobe Spark, PicCollage, clips. The book is full of vocabulary. You know that it's full of vocabulary. You know, cerebral palsy. I mean, she's got so many words in there. So you need to have a voiceover for it. You need to show pictures. It can be stills. It can be like that was just full of stills with music background and voiceover. However you want to do it creatively, but as your class craft teams, you're going to do it that. I just want one per team. So number 1 and number 2 are both individual projects. Number 3 is a group project. Okay, and you'll be graded on all of those. And then obviously there's a sample of the trailer there. All right. I'll be sending out the rubrics for all 3 so that you know exactly how you're going to be graded on all of those. And I will give you the due dates for those. But that's your final project for this group read. Any questions? Any questions? Yes, Layla.
Can we do it out of order,
Of course. Of course. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes,
So
Isabel?
we have to write like information about the author and
Yes, of course you do. About Sharon Draper. And you'll get that information from the book. She's written a lot of books, so it won't be hard for you to find that information. Yes, Miles?
Where do we write our book summary?
You'll just do it in a Google Doc, and then you'll end up putting it into your book jacket. And then I'll want you to do a QR code because you'll end up reading the summary. Just like this. Yeah, you'll do a voiceover and do a QR code and you'll attach it here. Okay, yes.
For the trailer or the iMovie, will
Off you go.